All right, team. Yeah, skipping the sketch today, and quickly also modified the sketch. Nice. Color-wise, actually, of course, main is black. I think we're starting with the black, although usually, you know, it's kind of from light to dark, but this way, of course, we get the main shape of Woodpecker. The red, very tiny bit. Yeah, don't waste too much. We really need just these few dots. Of course, white, then we can do, yeah, some gray areas on Woodpecker. Even also a bit brownish, yeah. So when I zoom in, and he has, yeah, around, so on the head, yeah, around the nose, a bit browny, and also like maybe where the black fur is ending, yeah, on white, you can also kind of see maybe just, yeah, to get a bit more sophisticated touch.
Yeah.
And the wood, of course, then let's say, yeah, well, I have some ochre and let's say the Naples yellow, then of course it all gets mixed with white and the brown, yeah, for the wood. So, but yeah, but let's start with the bird. Let's start also with really dry brush. So really, let's use this this technique, and then we can get straight away all this fur, all these nice, exactly the endings. And so then I put black. I'll put straight away some white. Yeah, also can do brown a bit. And oh yeah, I'm gonna put all the colors at once. A bit red and the yeah. So I'm taking, let's say, yeah, small, tiny, and small brush. Yeah. So then, because of course the back has lots of nice, now let's say turns where the black and white, then those places where you can't get, then you just use the small brush. And yeah, I wet my brush a bit, yeah, just kind of so it can start painting, but still, you know, if you feel it's too watery, just kind of wipe it with paper towel. Yeah. So yeah, and then straight away, for example, I can also leave, so I go one layer, I can go one layer with black. So even now, if I have some white area shining through, the technique, we're going to use it also for all the background for the wood, is when you put lots of dry brush kind of lines, and then they are dry, and then it's really easy. You can go all over with some watery layer, yeah, and it gets in between all these pre-lines. They stay at the place where they are, but then you get kind of fill in spaces. So the bird kind of can be the same. Yeah, depends. So yeah, really no water. And then of course thinking about those areas that are ending. And then I create those strokes and this thing. Yeah. And actually here, for example, I can already do a bit the variations of black and grayish. Yeah, even if I have now only black on my brush. Still, I can kind of control and do either like darker or less strokes, and it feels a bit more grayish. Yeah, then there is this end part of the, yeah, probably wings. It's really more grayish, and then we have the tail coming out. It is more black. Yeah. And also, since, of course, we're doing piece of art, for example, one can do a bit, let's say, more fluffy than it is maybe in, yeah, so maybe the head, a bit kind of more, yeah, since your picture is really beautiful, then we should try to kind of just, yeah, art in general, I think it's really about creating emotion. Yeah, so it's really more about the feeling you convey. Yeah, and then with the tiny brush, then of course I get into the eye. And don't forget to leave the little white spot. Yeah, that can be, for example, not even just like one square or one circle, but it can be a bit longer. Yeah, and so always when we do this little area in the eye, it's more like tapping with the brush, instead of, so then there is more control, and not to. What's the right word in English for, okay, so we humans, we have nose, but the birds,
it'd be beak.
Peak, yeah, of course.
Beak.
Yeah.
Beak.
So the peak, actually very beautiful. Yeah, it has somewhat bluish, yeah, on top, and so it will be really also kind of maybe, you know, some parts like you can have a bit more detailed to worked out, yeah. So let's say maybe some wings or tail can be more halfly abstract or halfly unfinished, and then maybe like the head, the peak can be a bit more elaborated. Yeah, it's also like choosing in art. So say we choose which part. So here I'm adding somewhat brownish around, so in between the eye and the peak. Yeah, so we don't leave this area white. It's really kind of, yeah, so there will be some moment then when I start a bit mixing brown and black. So let's say I did lots of kind of main black areas. Then I can go somewhere with pure brown, and then in between, and it's also kind of in my palette. Then you get the mix and and then of course already, for example, with water, yeah, like now I'm using my tiny brush, and now I can have it a bit more watery, and like this I can also control the darkness. So let's say I'm still not adding white, but I can have some parts more light, exactly just by having a bit more water. So I'm taking already some pinky, some yellowish. Yeah, we also have it on the bird. Right, even feels a bit gold, maybe. No, but this Naples yellow, so yeah, usually doesn't come in a standard set, but it's always like comes very often handy. For example, for these yellow parts of fur, one can also do, let's say I can put lots of like some yellow, yeah, maybe let it dry a bit, and then can go on top also with some just white strokes. Yeah, I can also kind of a bit. And of course, if you want, like, if you like detailed, yeah, a bit more realistic, then for example, all the area here around the eye that is white, but actually, like if you zoom in the picture, then you can see it clearly that there is like this upper border is white and the rest looks a bit more grayish. Yes, and this is exactly all from this theory of light and shadow. It's just because yeah, it has shape, and well, in this particular moment the sun is like from that side. Yeah, it could be also the opposite, that maybe the other side has more light, and but like when we show it, so you can even notice it in the red area. Yeah, this one on the left is much more lighter, and this one closer to the already in the middle, closer to the white, is darker. And like this, it's also you feel the shape. Yeah, and then our head of the bird is not then flat. So, but like these little details, yeah, can give really a good touch. For example, if I'm a bit lazy to pick up the blue, yeah, then of course one can make, let's say, just gray, yeah, and then depends, like the intensity can, like this part of the peak. Yeah. Although actually getting some blue would be nice, nice, nice. Yeah, maybe if I mix red with black, yeah, then I get some a bit more purplish. No, it won't work. Yeah, and for example, putting red, so I have one red on my brush. I put the darker side of the red, and then I already have, let's say, less paint on my brush, and then I can do straight away this lighter side of red. Yeah, so it's a bit tiny bit, but yeah, and then let's say I come back a bit with black and can go on top of the red, creating a bit more those strokes of fur. Yeah, but then of course we should be careful not to kind of get stuck too much into detailing. Yeah, so it's in general, it's the way we paint is both like you start in general, then you go and do some details, some areas, then you stop, go again, doing painting all in general, all together. Yeah, you check how it looks, and then so it's constant. And also what would be like a very good, interesting task. So for example, you look at the foot and you can analyze which lines are more fluffy and which lines are more straight, like one pure line. Let's say this wing, yeah, this black wing that is ending where the belly starts, it like really has just one, yeah, it's like the line is there very clear. Yeah, it's not that fluffy. Yeah, so having it all also kind of distinguish. So some lines I would, yeah, I have a bit fluffy, creating like a fur, but some lines, yeah, it makes our drawing more more interesting, more professional. When we have those. So also some red. All right, the baby bird. Yeah, and then we see there, let's say we see the eye. Yes, also, for example, maybe from, again, artistic point of view, the baby can be maybe less elaborated. Yeah, so we just maybe it's kind of a feeling. Is it the baby there? Kind of, you know, or something. And actually, the way to like have this feeling, you know, that's so for example, now I'm really looking, I have really feeling to practice a little bit those Japanese painting way, you know, when they do with few strokes, like, and yeah, they're like maybe 3 lines and you have a feeling that there is a branch and the bird sitting there. That's of course like, it's a huge mastery and everything. So let's say the opposite way, for those who still not that far away, it's like the opposite. So let's say you elaborate like good, yeah, so you take your time, you paint, yeah, the bird detailed and nicely, but then you finish and make it more like you smash a bit some lines, or yeah, cover some areas all together, and so in the end maybe it sees like more just like one spot or something. But of course, like the base is, I mean, because the secret of those, as I imagine, of those all this Japanese art is like really you catch the most important lines. You catch exactly those lines that define the movement, the shape. And but once, let's say, we work now precisely, so then I can say, okay, I did all the bird, and now I can choose already, which lines are important, which lines make the bird. And then when we do this, the whole, the Häuschen, then also like this area can be elaborated nicely, because it's not only black, it has of course this black area near the bird, and gets then more towards light, more towards outside. Then we already see the brown. And again, the story about the line. So the upper line of the whole is really like one straight, firm black line. Of course, it has some curvy shapes because it's wood and so on. But the story there is that like there is object, there is no object. So in one moment, this hole is over, and then it comes already the air, and that's why the line is like this. And when we see this bottom of this hole, that is like slowly converting to brown. And this black is moving into brown, and then the line there, it's like goes blurry slowly from black, slowly to dark brown, slowly to, so all these, and of course to know which line is where, like it's just looking at the nature. The nature will always tell you, and then it's just a bit more like training your artistic eye, how the shadow is how the light is falling, and so on. And of course, like the foot, for example, the paw or of of the father bird. Yeah, that is kind of,
Mhm.
so also draw it like a bit over the black hole. Yeah, so it's also a bit, sometimes like there are some details that we always should a bit exaggerate. So even if in real life maybe the size is 2 millimeters, and then in the painting we can do a really a bit more, like to emphasize. Yeah. And so I did the baby bird, and so I did the black around, and now I continue a bit darkening the baby bird, because we really don't want it to be too light. Yeah, so here comes the story that I'm often talking about. Yeah, defining where is the shadow, where is the light. Yeah, so the baby bird, he is all total inside the shadow. Yes, he's looking from inside, and this inside, yeah, the light there is only kind of outside, so feel free to continue darkening bird. Yeah, so even like, let's say now I have left the eye of the baby bird, and it's still a bit too white. I really like need later when it gets more dry, then and one can also experiment a bit with texture tapping. So this hole where the baby is, and then this bottom part, yeah, you can feel there is light, there is some texture, and then can also try create some tapping, so then it feels yeah. And again, we can again analyze the this hole in itself, and we see here like the right side of it has much more light, and the left side is generally more in the shadow. So even if in the left side of this already wooden part of the hole, there are of course some light areas still, then later when we look at all together, and it's all together, the left side should be more shadowish, and then the right side. Yeah, and then again, then so we look then at the whole wooden part the tree in general, and we see. So the light is falling from the left side. So the whole tree on the left side is lighter. Yeah, so I can even kind of cover, but here I'll be careful. So it depends. For example, if you have prepared your pencil sketch and you did also those wooden, let's say, strokes that look like wood, sometimes it's good maybe to start with them and then to do the general like painting all the general background, because then otherwise sometimes you lose what you did with the pencil. So then here we can use kind of this technique that I said. So we take, yeah, it's also a bit more dry brush, and then I can go and do some of these lines of the wood, and then I let them dry, and then I go on top with the watery layer of this general, but then those lines, they're staying. Yes. And when you do all these lines of wood, it kind of also helps to think about light and shadow. So like first we've defined, okay, the light is from the left and from up. So then you see some areas of wood, then naturally they will be, the shadow then will go to the right side and the bottom. Yeah, so like if you're painting some crack, yeah, then the shadow will be just, let's say, on the right and the bottom side. And then of course, naturally, there will be also some shadow under the tail of the bird. So on the wood, under the bird, also some. So on the right side of the wood, I can also make like straight away at first, maybe some of those lines, yeah, and of course try to think, maybe also not overdo with them. Maybe one side can have more of them, one side can have less of them. And give, yeah, a bit dry, so otherwise they don't smuggle in between. Yeah, and yeah, your picture really has very nice this effect. Yeah, there is light and then goes shadow. Very easy to work as an, yeah, for an artist. Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, and so what also happens, let's say then I have my brown lines, and now I take white, yeah, with some Naples yellow, yeah, or something light brown, and I go all around. Yeah, and I can go also on top of the lines, and then of course they become a bit lighter because of course I put some white on top and they become more pale. Yeah, so one can kind of use it. Yeah, so let's say maybe then afterwards I can go again on top and make a bit darker some lines, but some lines will stay is a bit more pale. And this will be like easy way to get also different layers of, so then not all lines of my wood are the same, but some are a bit more pale, and then I make some a bit more bright ones, let's say, I decide. Yeah, and so it means again, yeah, we did detailing for some lines of the wood, of the tree, and now we again looking all together, and then we work on the creating a feeling that the left side is under the light and the left side. Of course, with this hole, then there the light is exactly the opposite. Yes, the left side is in the shadow, and it's exactly because of the shape. So the sun continues shining from left, but this little hole where the baby lives, yeah, then it itself, it creates the shadow on the left side, and then the light is on the right. Yeah, so then let's say we could have these two areas emphasized. Yeah, the tree in itself, and then the yes, and then one can, let's say, work slowly, step by step. Yeah, so not straight away making one side really dark. Yeah, one can like make it. Right? It's just kind of, you can make it slowly, one layer of dark. Then if you see it's not enough, then you add. Yeah, so of course, let's say the professionals, they can from one stroke put exact tone. Yeah, so this is what we talk when we're talking about tone. We're talking about how light or how dark is something. So then I can put the tone of brown where the shadow is, you know, like one way, and then I analyze. Is it enough? Is it enough dark? Do I get the feeling? It's all shapy. Do I get the feeling the light is shining there? For example, then I go back and again work a bit more on emphasizing the house of the birdie. Yeah, then I make it also a bit more dark. This border on the left. Yes, and on the right side of this hole of the Häuschen, one can even put some white paint, yeah, because it's like in case if it got a bit too muddy, dirty, one can just some white strokes and to make it shine. And then again, don't forget under the tail, under the body, also a little bit more darker, yeah, because the shadow of the bird on the tree, yeah, so then we So as I said, in general, like we do two jobs, we do the detailing and we do the making it all, yeah, general correct. But among these two, I'd say like this general, where is light, where is shadow is more important, because it often happens. You do really nice all your detail. You spend the time, you elaborate them very all very nice, beautiful, but in general picture they are wrong, and then it all looks wrong. If you got them in the wrong tone, then and then remember this technique of halfly closing the eyes. Yeah, this helps a lot. So your picture is awesome, yeah, for this to practice. So I look at your picture, I halfly close my eyes, I already don't even see the baby bird. The baby bird is gone. And then with my eyes exactly like this, I move to my painting and I see the bird. I see that my baby bird is much more lighter. I see, you know, so then I go and make my baby bird. I'm not scared, it's already dry. Yeah, and acrylics are very nice, so they stay. And with a bit waterish brush, and I already have some kind of lots of muddy paints here, then I just pick up some muddy paint and go all over and cover my birdie. Yeah, so yeah, and then I can repeat the task, and then I say, okay, so I see, yeah, let's say with this whole where the baby bird lives, yeah, then the same. Halfway close my eyes, I look at your photo. Okay, it's all one big dark spot, and then just on the right side there is this light. Yeah, I move my head. Does it look the same on my paper, or some white areas are too white? Yeah, and then I go joining them. Yeah, and sometimes one is surprised how much darkening one still has to do. So like this is the perfect example, since we have this baby bird. Yeah, it's I keep on darkening it, and still yeah, it's so this it's a very good exercise to close your eyes. People who don't see good, then it's comfortable for painting. It's like you always see it a bit more all together. But when you have a good vision, then you see all the details. You see all the details. So it can be good, but then you need to know that you always need to check and and then let's say after you did all the general, like you did all the checks, did the general, one can again go and come back for some detailed touch-ups. Yeah, so it calls like putting accents. So maybe the paw, maybe there are some black lines more around there. Yeah, some yeah, and what else we can kind of check? And we can also check general how wide is, let's say, the wood, like the tree and the bird. Yeah? And like, let's say on this second picture of yours with the baby, then we see, okay, there is more light on the wood, on the tree. The bird also a bit more, this is his, let's say, shadow side. But then you can already, in this case, as an artist, you can decide. You say, okay, the main topic is the bird, and then I make the accents, yeah, there. And then still, even in real life, we see the tree is really in light, shiny. Still on my painting, I make it more pale because it's the background. Yeah, so we don't forget also about, yeah, so then maybe even I go, and now I go a bit all over my wooden lines and make them a bit more pale. Yeah, so then there is a feeling, yeah, that it's a tree, there are those lines. Yeah, maybe I go and unite some of the lines. Yeah, if it's too much of them, then I kind of And then, of course, we also remember about the danger of overdoing. When it's like you start playing with all those wooden parts and like, oh, yeah. And then one can hide one's signature somewhere in those wooden cracks. And do you sign your paintings?
I don't know. No, my photographs I put a signature on, but I don't actually do that with my artwork yet.
Yeah, it's I think it's always the moment when you started doing it, and it's like, yeah, of course I haven't done it, because it's like, but it also actually requires practice. It's not that so like the sooner you start practicing, because when it comes the moment that you want really to sign, then it will be like, oh my God, I'm gonna ruin. It's all because you start with those letters. So once you kind of get hand on it, it's also so. And then of course one can like think what kind of maybe some artistic lines always usually choose like.
So I think I made a mistake with this picture today. I used the woodpecker, the main woodpecker. I kept as the main one we were going to do. So I've kept the beak's actually going over the hoe towards the young one, where I noticed you've got yours, the beak's slightly above the hoe. I probably should have done that, to be honest, but
I mean, if it's still wet, you can like the paper towel sometimes works. Like
yeah, I'll just take a photograph of it and show you.
Yeah,
it sort of works, but I think I'll lose the beak slightly the way I've done it. But
nothing to do, all experience, huh?
Yep.
All righty, let's take a look. Nice. So. Okay, let's look from far away. The first thing, a little bit this this spot on the left yeah, in the composition way.
Yeah.
It's just a bit kind of, so maybe just lighten up a bit. Yeah, it's good, it's there, but just kind of a little bit, so it's not so. And birdie is good, the shadow there. Yeah, the baby bird. So also one thing a little bit with this, with the hole, it still looks a little bit like one black circle. Yes. And like in your photo, you can really see this really nice smooth coming in. Yeah. So maybe just a little bit tapping. You can even take, let's say, brown with a little bit, like, of course, not too much white. Or maybe even don't use brown with white, use maybe brown with yellow or these nipples. Something. Maybe just a bit tapping. See if see how it works. And then maybe I would also clean the brush well, and on the right side of the hole where the baby is sitting, do a little bit the same light as like this this left side of the whole tree. So like here, let's say I got it also a little bit like this line. Maybe it's a bit also too whitey, but because then we might get this very nice shape. And I will think, what shall we do with the baby? Maybe baby, it's a bit. So maybe when you do a bit of tapping of this black hole, don't be scared if you get a bit the peak of the baby also, because here I feel there is like white spot. So if you kind of make it also a bit smuggle, all together with the baby, it might look, because I'm reading a bit too much white spots in the baby. And maybe exactly, so this technique that I was saying, you got the details, they're dry, and then just with the watery brush with some a bit lighter muddy thing, you kind of join it all together, go all over. And right. Generally cool.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, I started with all the critics. And then the red line, maybe the red line could be the one at the bottom, maybe not just like one straight line, maybe just go, mine also actually is a bit too, maybe just kind of a bit maybe blacky fur on it or something, just kind of. So there is something red, but we're not really
sure it's there.
Wow, very excited to wait you from the trip. I think we can make then a separate time or lesson just for the animal painting. And it will last for a year at least.
Well, I'm also hoping to get some nice sunset photographs as well. So that'd be nice.
That would be nice actually too. You're right. Okay, we'll juggle between.
That's my challenge.
Or I mean, we combine. We do the very nice sunset with some giraffes.
Giraffes or elephants.
Exactly. So it can be like sometimes like today a very detailed animal, and sometimes like the landscape and with those long necks. So to manage with one stroke have a feeling that's the red giraffes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that this stroke looks like a tree. So challenging. Awesome.
Great stuff. Right. I will let that dry and I'll get that over later on.
Yeah. So are you going for the signature?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But I've set this idea in your head. So.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
I mean, if your photographs, yeah, you did, so your artwork also deserves.
Yeah, true.
Nice. Well, thanks, Darren, yeah, for joining and for
you.
also giving the second option of the baby. Now I have kind of the the story.
Yep.
The father came, he called the baby. Super.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will see you hopefully in 3 weeks' time.
We will hopefully see you back, healthy, safely back. Yeah.
Yep.
So
okay then.
Simply enjoy it, Darren.
Oh, we will do. I'm sure we will.
And if you can, of course, we will be happy to get some updates meanwhile. Just some shots.
We'll see.
Feel free to spam the chat.
Okay, I'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, Nivi, I will see you soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good trip. Yeah. Bye, Darren.
Bye.